What's going on, everyone? I want to do a different type of video today than the per usual. I wanted to talk about deaths that made no sense or were a little extreme in the Scream franchise. And I was even thinking about maybe making this like a little mini series where once a week I do this video. If you enjoy this, so leave a like and let me know down in the comments if you want me to do more. I have a whole list of several that I think were unrealistic, and obviously I want to give you some facts and information to kind of back it up. But if you have any suggestions or ideas, or you enjoy this type of video, then again, let me know down in the comments below. Before we jump into it, be sure to like this video. It helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things Scream. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. So, the first sort of unrealistic death that I wanted to talk about is obviously the Tatum garage scene. Now, it's iconic, it's legendary, it's memorable. It was a little over the top, it was a little excessive, and it was unrealistic. And I get it. Right off the bat, people are going to say, well, it's possible, and that, you know, especially back then, the type of garage doors and all that stuff. And yes, it is possible, but it's unrealistic, and I have some facts to back it up. So, in this time period in which garage doors didn't have all of the safety measures that they have now, a death from an automatic garage door accident are obviously extremely rare. But according to federal safety experts, the commission says that from 1982 to 1992, so 4 years before this happened, the most recent figures available were 48 people were trapped and killed by automatic garage doors between 26 states. And a lot of them were children. A lot of them weren't adults. They were children that the door actually collapsed on. Thus, they got trapped and were killed. Now, there are rare cases in which, you know, the garage door just malfunctioned and came crashing down on somebody or fell apart, and, you know, depending on where it hit them. But again, it is extremely rare. Now, as far as her death itself, because she was crushed at the top, and then, you know, everything else happened. You know, she's just kind of hanging there. The probability of that is pretty much zero. The average garage door back then, especially, could hold less than 100 pounds. Garage doors now can usually carry about an additional 100 pounds, depends on the motor and the horsepower and all that stuff. But back then, most garage doors were just safety regulated for what the garage door itself was, and the track just kind of managed that. So adding her weight to that garage door would have made it extremely unlikely to even lift her, let alone crush her. Even though the way it malfunctioned and just the whole thing is just completely unrealistic. It wouldn't have happened even back then before the safety measures. Now there's all kinds of like sensors and triggers and things. I mean, if you have a garage door, then you know even when you walk under it, it starts going up because of the little sensors. But back then there were a lot of unregulated garages, garage doors, things like that. But in order for her death to take place, it is pretty much impossible. It would have been more likely that the garage door collapsed on her and thus crushing her and killing her, rather than her being lifted up into the garage door like she's on a roller coaster or something and then getting pinned and stuck. Not just that, but her size and frame most likely would have squeezed through the garage door, which, for those that may or may not know, actually was the case. So they had to actually staple her shirt and dress to the garage door, because every time it lifted her up, she would fall out of the garage door. It just kept happening. She kept falling onto the pad and the safety pads. But she literally kept falling out of the garage door because she was so thin, and so, I mean, just her frame clearly is unrealistic to have that sort of death and kill happen. Now, obviously it wasn't a standard garage door, it was Hollywood effects, things like that. But if we're talking about a real garage door, because Scream, as for the most part, hung its hat on realism and just, you know, realistic kills and ideas and things like that. But of course, it's a film. You have to have some sort of excitement, some sort of like, oh, that was crazy, you know, something memorable that the audience leaves with. But from a realistic standpoint, if we're talking realism, then the garage door scene is impossible. It's not something that could have happened to her. Now, again, had it collapsed on her and that had been her death, then yes, that would have been more realistic, though extremely rare. It still would have been more realistic than her actually being crushed in between the you know, the roof and the actual door jamb for the garage door. It's just something that was just completely unrealistic. Again, she would have fallen out of the doggy door like she did in real life. She kept falling out of the doggy door, so that would have happened in reality. But besides her falling out of the doggy door, even if she did get stuck and wasn't able to get out of that garage door wouldn't have been able to even lift her. It either would have just malfunctioned and the gears would have stopped, and thus the garage door would have just stopped completely, or if there's enough weight that sort of overbears the mechanisms, then it would have actually just collapsed on her and thus crushing her. So that would have been a more realistic approach. Granted, it probably wouldn't have been as memorable. It wouldn't have been as exciting. It wouldn't have been as, you know, entertaining from an audience standpoint. So I completely understand why he did it. And I mean, that scene is iconic. I mean, they've made fun of it. They've referenced it. People literally checked, you know, their doggy doors to see if they could get through because of this scene in case, you know, something crazy ever happens. So it's definitely an iconic scene. I even think back to, you know, Scary Movie. You know, I'm just a day player, and she's just throwing the bottles and tries to squeeze into the door and stuff. It's just, you know, that tongue-in-cheek comedy that really paralleled the Scream and sort of the ridiculousness in which the garage door took place, the garage door happened. Because again, it's extremely unlikely and realistically never would have happened. But as always, this is a discussion. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you think that it was realistic, that it was unrealistic? Again, did you enjoy this type of video? It's a little different than, you know, our usual theories or just discussions. I was thinking back and I was just like, there have been so many unrealistic kills in the Scream franchise, and it would be kind of cool to talk about various different ones. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Let me know down in the comments. Again, I have a list of several, but I want to know, A, would you like more of these videos? And B, if you have any that you thought were unrealistic, I'd be more than happy to look into. Again, want to give some information. I'm not like an expert or anything like that. So I'm sure somebody on the internet's going to be like, well, if you take this, but realistically, I'm sure that somebody somewhere could probably make a better argument for or against, but you get the gist that it is an unrealistic kill, that the probability of her just being crushed at the top is pretty much 0 to 9. But anyway, let me know what you think. If you have not subscribed to the channel, again, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification so you never miss an upload. Stay up to date with all things Scream. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.